Que la que hay, mi gente? Welcome to Virtual Math Masters. This is your boy, Master Cruz. So you never do math alone again. And today we're going to talk about evaluating expressions, what sometimes people call substitution. This is actually a great technique. Number one, to simplify your problems. And number two, to check answers to equations and things like that when you are done with them. So without further ado, let's get started. Example 1, 3m plus 10 when m equals 4. So what do we want to do? They're actually giving you the answer for the variable. So there's no need to do inverse operations. There's no equation. There's no equal sign, right? They're just letting you know what m is. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to rewrite the problem, right? But instead of writing an m, I'm going to open a parentheses plus 10. Wherever I see variables, I'm going to open parentheses. That's always my first step. Whenever you see variable, you're going to open a parentheses. And because I know that m equals 4, I'm going to rewrite in that parentheses the value of m, which is 4. So that it's called evaluating an expression or substituting m for 4, because that's what m equals. And that's it. That's this step. These two expressions are going to be the same, and then we just simplify using order of operations, or better known as PEMDAS. And notice that I always write them down, and I write the M and the D together and the A and the S together, so that you know that these two are from left to right. You don't always do multiplication first. You could do division first if it's first from left to right. Those are arrows. Those are very bad looking arrows. But those are arrows, my people, pointing from left to right. Okay, so let's just multiply. The first thing that we have is multiplication over here. 3 times 4 means 12. You bring down to 12 plus 10, and then 12 plus 10 is 22. So that is the answer. Okay, that is the answer. Remember, 3 times 4, it gives you the 12, and then bring down the 10, and then you add them and you get 22. That is PEMDAS. So this is one way that you could see the problem, but this is another way that they could write the same problem. So example 1b, okay, says that 3m plus 10, same original expression, but they want you to simplify for domain, and then they give you numbers inside of braces. All right, well, because they're calling this the domain, meaning this is the input value, because that's what domain means. In case you didn't know, the word domain means input. What that means is that these are the values that we're going to input into the variable to get an output value, to get a result. Because we have 1, 2, and 3 inputs, we're going to have to repeat the same process 3 times. So we're going to have 3 answers at the end. So we're first going to do this for when m equals -2. So that's what this means when m equals -2. So I'm going to rewrite the 3, but I'm going to open a parentheses instead of writing the m, right? I'm rewriting the same stuff. And now I'm going to write a -2 instead of m, because that was my first domain when m equals -2. So, and I multiply 3 times -2. I'm going to do this first, right? I'm going to get -6. Positive times a negative is always a negative, no matter which one is greater or whatever. It's just positive times a negative is always a negative. And then -6 plus 10 is 4, right? Because same sign, add, different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact, y'all. So you have one answer. That answer is 4. Okay, so now we have to repeat the same process, but for the second value of the domain. The second value of the domain here is 0. So I'm going to rewrite the same problem. Okay, I'm going to rewrite the 3, open the parentheses, plus 10. But instead of writing the end, now I'm going to substitute 0. And I didn't write it down. So let me write it down. Give a little bit of space here and put that m equals 0 this time, because that's my second term, my second number. So m equals 0. So I'm substituting here for 0. Always do the multiplication first. 3 times 0 is just 0. You can actually write 0 or just cancel it, right? Because anything times 0 is 0, it's gone. And the answer is just 10. So when m is 0, this is gone, and you just bring that down, and this is 10, because anything times 0 is 0. So that's the second. And then that's the second answer. Now we're going to do this, repeat the same process with the last one, which is m equals 4. Okay, m equals 4. But we actually don't need to do this because we just did it. That was the first part, right? That's example 1. M equals 4. So we know that here the answer is 22. When m equals 4, the answer is 22. You could answer this as m equals 4, comma 10, comma 22. You could also not m equals, sorry, just like that, 4, 10, and 22. And then that's it. 4, 10, and 22. Those are the answers. 3 domains, 3 inputs, 3 answers, 3 outputs. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Here we go. Example 2. Now, in the previous problems, we only had one variable. In this problem, we have 2. We have A and B. Because we have A and B, then they gave you 2 values. They want you to simplify or evaluate this when A equals -5 and when B equals 11. So I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to rewrite this problem as 4 and then open a parentheses whenever I see the variable, plus 7, open a parentheses whenever I see the variable. So here we go. Whenever there's an A, I'm going to replace A with -5, okay, because that's what A equals. A equals -5. Oops. Let's do it again. There you go. So this is -5 over here. And then for B is 11. Hopefully you can see that for B it equals 11. Now I'm going to follow my PEMDAS from left to right. So multiplication first. 4 times -5 will be -20. And there's a plus sign, so plus. And then 7 times 11 is 77. Okay. And then -20. -20 plus 77, that will be 57, because 57. Same sign, add, difference, and subtract. All right, so you just take the big number minus a small number. 77 minus 20 is just 57. And that will be my answer. Once I get one number, I'm done. 2B is the same problem, but now I get variables, right? I get fractions. Sorry, I get fractions. So what happens when we get fractions? I just realized I want to change this number real quick. I don't want that to be 2. I want that to be 3. And I'm going to plug it in here. Okay. So let's substitute. So again, I'm going to have 4, but I'm going to open a parentheses, a bigger parentheses because it's for a fraction. 7 and bigger parentheses because it's for a fraction. And I'm going to substitute in here. So A is 3/4 and B is 5/14. It is okay to have fractions. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, what we're going to do is, the question is, how do you multiply whole numbers times fractions? And the answer is we don't. I teach my students not to do that, okay? You can ignore the bottom part. Actually, let me just bring it down a little bit. Whoa. Well, that was not bringing it down, was it? Here we go. Let's do it again. Wrong page. Here we go. There you go. So let's try this one more time real quick. You know what? Here we go. Almost there. All right, so what could you do while I do this? Would you be able to figure out what to do, right? With that? Well, what I teach my students to do is to write this as fractions. Never multiply the 4 times a fraction, make the 4 a fraction, make the 7 a fraction, and then TBT over BBB. What that means is you're going to multiply top by top, TBT, over BBB. If I say TBT, you say BBB. TBT, BBB. So TBT is top by top, BBB is bottom by bottom. 4 times 2 is 12. Over 1 times 4, that's just 4. Okay. And that's a plus, right? That's a plus sign. And the cool thing about this is that I can just simplify right here. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And I just got rid of my fraction, right? So again, top by top, bottom by bottom, and then divide. 12 divided by 4 is 3. I'm going to attempt the same thing here to see if I can do it. So now this is before I multiply. Hopefully you can see, you can simplify the 7 and the 14. They're both divisible. by 7. If you don't see it, it's okay. If you see it, you can multiply first. If not, it's going to multiply TBT over BBB. So 7 times 5 is 35, right? 7 times 5 is 35 over 1 times 14 is 14. But like we said, these are both divisible by 7. You can simplify this by 7, and you'll get a plus sign here, 5 over 2. Okay, now you could make this a decimal if you like, or you could work with them as a fraction. I'm going to make it a decimal because I think it's easier. 3 plus 5 divided by 2 is just 2.5, and that will give you 5.5, and you add 3 plus 2.5. All right, perfect. So that's 5.5. That's how you do it with a fraction. Okay, that's how you do it with a fraction. You convert it to a decimal. Now, if you don't want to convert it to a decimal, then you can make the 3 a fraction, put it over 1. You just have to work a little bit harder, right? Because you can't just add these two. So here's an alternative. You cannot add them because you don't have common denominators. Not that bad though. All you have to do is multiply these by 2 to get common denominators, and you will get 6 over 2 plus 5 over 2, which you can add them to 11 over 2, and that will be your final answer as a fraction. If you take 11 over 2, meaning 11 divided by 2, you'll get 5.5. I think the left side is easier, but you choose the one that you like the most. Let's do example 3 to finish it, okay, or 4 and 5. This is the last problem that we are going to do with evaluating. I want to make sure that I give you all kind of problems, all right? So this is example A, actually. Example 3 for P equals -2, X equals 0, and Y equals 5. So for all these problems, this is what that is. Now, I encouraged you to stop the video, plug it in, and attempt A, B, and C. And once you have a number, then continue the video and check if you got them correct. So I'm going to start now. Did you stop the video and did it and try it on your own? Okay, so wherever I see variables, I'm just going to open parentheses. Open parentheses. All right, open parentheses. That's what I do. And then I'm gonna write the problem. P is -2, so I'm going to substitute -2. Y is 5. Now be careful, it's not in order. Okay, Y is 5 and X is 0. So here we go. -2 times 5. It's the first thing that PEMDAS tells us to do, is -10 and -0. That's it, because -0 doesn't do anything. That is my answer, -10, right? Because -10 minus 0 is still -10. This is gone because it's 0. So hopefully you got that one before I did, and hopefully it's not that bad. Here we go. Part B, again, if you did not do it, attempt it on your own. Pause the video, attempt it. Feel smart if you get it. If you don't get it, it's okay. You can retry it again. So here we go. We're gonna plug in 0 for X, and for P, we're gonna plug in -2. For exponents first, right? So exponents first. This is just 3 times 0 plus, because the 0 squared is 0 times 0. And then -2 squared is +4, because -2 times -2 is +4. And then we multiply or divide from left to right. So 3 times 0, it's gone. That's 0. There's nothing else. So the answer is 4, because 0 plus 4 is 4. The last problem, I'm just going to write it right here on the side. Okay, so here we go, so that we can substitute. Here we go. Instead of P, so again, I'm going to open parentheses. I'm going to open parentheses. Wherever I see a variable, open parentheses. That's what we do. Parentheses plus open parentheses -2, open parentheses. And now we're going to substitute the correct numbers. So for P is -2, for X is 0, and for Y is 5. And again, there's another P here, so -2, another X here, so 0, and another Y here, so +5. And then we're gonna simplify all the way on the top, get a number in the numerator, and then all the way on the bottom, get a number in the denominator, and then divide if possible. So here we go. We need to multiply or divide first. So 0 times 5 is 0, which means we only have -2 on top because these two, when you multiply them, gives you 0. And this is all divided by, there's a multiplication right here. So -2 times 5 is -10. I'm going to rewrite the -2 here. I'm going to rewrite the plus 0, and I'm going to have -10 over here. The 0, it's gone, so we don't need to worry about the 0 at all. And then we have -2 in the numerator, so -2 over -2 minus 10. Now, same sign, add, they're the same sign, so we got to add them. So it's going to give me -12. Now, you need to understand that a negative divided by a negative is a positive, okay? And you might be tempted to say that this is +6. You got to be very careful because the big numbers in the denominator. So what we're really doing here is simplifying, okay? Simplifying an improper or a proper fraction. We're simplifying a proper fraction, just reducing it. So the answer is positive. We know that. 2 divided by 2 is 1 over 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the answer is not 6. The answer is 1 over 6. And that's how you evaluate expressions using the substitution method. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment below. Send me an email. And if you need ongoing support, please join our community, Virtual Math Masters, so that you never do math alone again.